Hi, I'm Michael Cockrell. When disaster strikes, sometimes it's necessary to move people to safer areas, like what happened here in the town of Thornton in 1986 when it flooded. In my 35 years of working at San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services, the last 6 as director, I've worked on evacuations, and I observed other jurisdictions, how they conducted their evacuations.
Our focus in this story is on the how and why of local governments ordering evacuations. What conditions might require proclaiming an evacuation, the alerts and warnings to watch for, and routes to safety. There are vast differences between which local authorities can order such an action, as well as some confusion between local, state, and federal agency roles in evacuation control and support.
A serious question is who in a city or county can order an evacuation. It may depend on the size of the incident and the jurisdiction's view of their legal authorities, which can cause conflict and confusion. After the 1997 statewide floods, the governor established a Flood Emergency Action Team, or FEAT, to report on how to improve planning, response, including evacuations and recovery, which led to 10 initiatives that would address the main findings.
There are 3 main regulations that identify who may issue an evacuation. The California Penal Code, Health and Safety Code, and the California Emergency Services Act give authority to evacuate or secure an area of an emergency or public health threat. But this can cause disagreement between jurisdictions.
Because of the lack of understanding of legal authorities, City and County Office of Emergency Services must either sort this out during training and planning or, unfortunately, during actual emergencies. Though the Penal Code Section 409.5 may give legal authority to close an area, it is unclear if officers can forcibly evacuate an area. State Tort Claims Act still puts an agency at risk for lack of immunities in movement of people. Only Penal Code Section 409.6 actually specifies removing a person from risk. State guidance recommends the best way is to proclaim a local emergency, then issue an evacuation order. Each jurisdiction decides who can proclaim, which varies in cities and counties.
With the California state law for emergency management, the county has the ability to evacuate areas where we feel people are in jeopardy. The EOC, the county exec, is the director of the EOC, so he has that ability, and the sheriff has the ability in life-threatening situations to be able to activate a evacuation order into a given area. So we coordinate in the EOC with the sheriff's department. Our office works for the county exec, so we represent the county executive, and that determination is made in there. In addition, what we try to do is make sure that we have our public works, American Red Cross, and roads departments all in there as we get into the planning stage for an evacuation order.
Out of the 5 years I've been emergency manager, the 5 times we've burned, we wouldn't be able to do a proclamation fast enough to actually even use it for evacuations, because literally it's a fire pops and somebody issues evacuation orders, and then even the pulse point and the dispatch notifications are going out sometimes even after the evacuation order.
It really depends on what kind of an incident that we're dealing with. So if we're out in the field and we're dealing with a field style of an incident, the incident commander is the person that makes the decision, or if police and fire are working together, it's that unified command, both police and fire knowing what's going on and making that determination of, we've got an incident in the field where we need to make that evacuation. In a larger, or what we call a deliberate evacuation, that would be made more at the EOC style of a level.
But evacuations in the Delta can involve more than one county. The legal Delta consists of 5 counties: Contra Costa, Sacramento, San Joaquin, Solano, and Yolo.
The biggest part is we need to get all 5 counties together on the same page. That still hasn't come together. I look towards Cal OES as being the leader to pull that together, since it's a regional issue. It also is a regional issue for them because it splits 2 of their regions in half.
Once an evacuation order has been issued, the legal authority identifies who can conduct the evacuation. The Penal Code Section 409.5 is used as an authority. Only a peace officer can implement an area closure and or restrict access to an area. Section 409.6 differs slightly in that it addresses avalanches, mudslides, landslides, or volcanic activity debris flows. It also provides for forcible removal from affected areas. However, if the event comes under the Emergency Services Act, a promulgated or official evacuation order would allow additional agencies to be assigned to assist in an evacuation.
How do you learn there's an evacuation order in your area? There are many ways to get alerts out, from phone alerts, text messages, school computer screen pop-ups. Most of these are geared towards a younger population with the latest technology. But new technology is not always the best answer to alert the public in danger.
We have to go back and assess the ways we communicate with people in a wildfire and be sure that no stone is left unturned, that you've figured out how to reach everybody, including the people whose cell phones are dead, or including the people whose cell phone network has just been burned down up in the forest. The towers are gone. How do you reach those people? I believe old school radio is a way to cover a lot of the issues that we've been talking about, and that it is a tried and true century-old communications medium that if people are educated about its primary purpose as an emergency network, then that'll help save lives. We should have no more dead people following future wildfires, because there should be enough planning that accounts for any scenario you want to come up with.
Another issue is the different evacuation terms used by cities and counties, even though there are federal standards. During my tenure in the San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services, I've often heard conflicting evacuation terms that meant the same action. The Federal Communications Commission and National Weather Service have established standardized event code terms. Can California resolve this statewide issue and, more importantly, enforce standardization? These terms cover 4 categories: staying indoors or at current location, be aware of a developing hazard, review emergency readiness, consider evacuating, especially vulnerable populations, but government not responsible for your actions, ordered evacuations, everybody leaves.
So as far as terminology goes, there is a current process where people are recommending standardizing some terminology across, such as the fire discipline, so that there's no confusion when somebody hears that there's a watch or a warning. What does that actually mean? So there is some active events going on now to standardize those terms, and they would become a standard for the state of California.
Obviously, in a big state, there's a lot of different jurisdictions, a lot of different types of communities that we have. We're working through trying to identify the best practice terms that can be used, and then socializing those across the communities to be able to synchronize as much as possible on common terminology when it comes to alert and warning programs.
The East Bay and Delta have faced past evacuations, but are split between 2 National Weather Service warning offices and 2 emergency alert system areas. Cal OES is required to coordinate between the National Weather Service, local emergency alert system committees, and local jurisdictions to keep the state and local emergency alert system plans up to date and on file.
The bottom line here is we're trying to get the terminology to effectively convey the urgency of what is occurring at that point in time, whether it's the flooding that we've had over the past couple years, fires, mudslides. It's all a catastrophic experience. Words matter, and we're trying to get that verbiage as simplified as possible so everybody buys into the system that we have created to ensure that the public is safe.
Since the mid-2000s, San Joaquin County developed public safety evacuation map guides, which included actions to take to implement an evacuation order. This also included neighborhood maps that citizens can print out. Now, counties such as Calaveras and Yolo are developing and training on additional mapping programs that communities, along with agencies, can use to implement or respond to evacuations.
We have a comprehensive layer of all 91 zones. We've made this public-facing application. It's at evacuate.yolocounty.org. And so the public can actually come in here and zoom in and look at the zones. They can enter their address, and once they enter their address of where their house is, or maybe a restaurant or something like that, then it zooms in to where that address is and shows them the zone that they're in. They can click on that zone It'll even give you the prioritized routes, and after just a little bit more GIS work, those routes will actually show up as green lines on the map too. We're field mapping our evacuation routes to the entire county road center line files so that the road center line has the evacuation routes embedded in the data.
Ordering an evacuation is not taken lightly at the local or state levels. It's a very complex action to save lives from very real threats.
We try to understand as a law enforcement community, along with our first responder partners, the impacts of persons leaving their house, their belongings. You know, these issues come so quickly, and it's never on a Monday through Friday between maybe 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. where people are in the midst of doing their regular day business, but at night.
We hope you found this discussion useful on efforts to prepare for evacuations.
And check out our links for additional information to questions you might have.
And please consider sponsoring Soundings Magazine. Thank you.